less than 20 days away from free agency. Can you believe it? The Titans have the most cap space in the NFL with just over $100 million. So I think that they might want to get even more cap space. And on today's show, welcome into Titans Today by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Brett Alpert, by the way. We're talking Titans surprise cut candidates. But if you're a diehard, you're probably thinking, oh, these guys aren't cut candidates. I know exactly who he's going to be talking about. Before we get started, I will say these are not any borderline roster bubble players on this list. All of these players are on the 53-man roster, and they are going to be cut or possibly be cut because the Titans just want to get more cap space as we get into more later in the offseason. So here's the requirements that I have. It's players that could save the Titans a lot of money in 2026. They're getting up there in age or production value, and I could possibly give you some replacements in free agency or the NFL draft. And ladies and gentlemen, this is why you subscribe to the channel. We got you Titans videos almost every single day, daily videos throughout the offseason, talking about the news, talking about the rumors. Next week, we got boots on the ground at the NFL Combine. So we're going to be hearing from Mike Borgonzi. We're going to be hearing, hopefully, from Coach Robert Saleh and draft free agency more. And of course, we want to hear from you. We love hearing from the fans. We love seeing what you guys think. So that is exactly why you subscribe to the channel, to stay up to date of the best Titans coverage on YouTube. Let's get into it. And the first one, you want to call it a surprise, but is this really a surprise? I think everybody in Tennessee, in Nashville, knows, oh, guess what? He's probably going to get cut, and that is Calvin Ridley. He's getting up there in age, and he just has the absolute disappointing 2025. My bold prediction at the beginning of the year that he was going to be a top 10 receiver in football and get over 1,000 yards for what we saw in the preseason from him and Cam Ward. But when you take a look at what he did, disappointing. 7 games played, 17 receptions, 303 yards, and an average catch, which was decent, yards per catch of 17.8 yards per catch. Calvin Ridley had the worst season of his career by far, and it seems like that they kind of just want a fresh start out in Tennessee. And because, well, he's over 30, and he missed half of 2025 with leg and ankle injuries. He was dealing with a hamstring injury. He comes back from that hamstring injury. Guess what? He fractures his ankle. It just was not the best year for Calvin Ridley. And why could the Titans move on from him? Well, they can save a ton of money. A ton of money. We know when he signed that huge contract for just over, I think it was $80 million, maybe even $90 million, it was like, oh, well, he's going to be a top target. But $21 million in savings. And if you kind of cut him and get $21 million, then you have $120 million of cap to work with to go out and sign somebody that could be even better quality and better production. And some wide receiver targets that I'm looking at in particular, Alec Pierce could be one of them. You need a deep threat because that's what Calvin Ridley was. And Alec Pierce, with his yards per catch, I think it was like 20 yards per catch. That's perfect. That would be a perfect replacement. And George Pickens is just a wide receiver 1. Hopefully he doesn't get tagged and then the Titans could go after him in free agency, but we'll have to wait and see. But those are your 2 wide receiver targets. The next one on my cut candidates list is a little bit of a surprise, and it's the running back, Tony Pollard. And I think that the Titans kind of want to move into a new direction at the running back position. He's 28 years old, and in running back years, that's about 50. It's going up, and then it's coming down. But Tony Pollard has been a very, very solid running back, and that would be probably the biggest surprise here that you would think. And when you look at the last 4 seasons for Tony Pollard, they're all up there in 1,000 yards. I mean, when you look at it, it's like, well, he actually had 1,000. I didn't think so, but 5 touchdowns, 4.5 yards per carry, 1,000 in 2024. 2023, 1,000, 22, 1,000. That was before he comes over to Tennessee. But 5 touchdowns in each of the last 2 years. Not that many fumbles, but he's been a good player. And he's been very, very consistent. But I think that the Titans want to get younger. I think they want to have a new regime with Mike Borgonzi and company, especially with Robert Saleh coming in. And I think with the running back that you have behind him, he's kind of the same back. When you look at some of the teams in the NFL, they have that power back and then they have that speed back. Well, Pollard is a speed back, but Tajay Spears is a younger, just as good of a speed back. And I think that the Titans are starting to prioritize Tajay Spears. He had that ankle injury to start the 2025 season, and then you kind of think, well, it's going to be mainly Pollard. And it seemed like towards the end of the season, they started giving Tajay Spears more and more touches, and I think they really like him out in Tennessee. Also, when you look at the cut savings, if you cut him, you save $7.25 million in cap space. So a good, decent amount. But like I said, I think that Tajay Spears can put up the same numbers, put up the same production as Tony Pollard, especially in the passing game. You can cut Pollard, make Spears the running back one, and maybe in the second or third round, you go out and draft a running back. You do not need to keep Pollard. It doesn't help you or hurt you if he is not on this team in 2026. I think Tajay Spears is going to be that guy heading into next season. So I'll ask you guys, are you cutting Tony Pollard? He was a trade candidate back before the trade deadline, and now I think that they're going to start to look to get rid of him. But you let me know down in the comments section. What are you doing? Are you keeping him or are you cutting him? Give a C for cut or a K for keep. We're going to get into our last cut candidate before the end of today's video. But first, I got to tell you about our sponsor of today's show, and that is PrizePicks. You could shoot your shot on PrizePicks and get $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. That's right, PrizePicks is giving you $50 in lineups when you sign up and play your first $5. PrizePicks makes it easy, every easy dunk, every dime, every board, that much more exciting. So don't miss the chance to get started on America's #1 app for sports picks. PrizePicks is simple to play. Just pick more or less than 2 to 6 player stat projections, and if your picks are right, you can cash in. You also have a early payout feature on PrizePicks. If your player gets out to a hot start, you now have the option to cash out those winnings before the game even finishes. Look, football's over, but the fun on PrizePicks does not stop. All you got to do, pick 2 players, 30 seconds, and it doesn't have to be football, basketball. Baseball is right around the corner, even motorsports, because you know I like my motorsports, and I'll be using PrizePicks to win some money, so you can too. But you got to download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. It's good to be right. My last one, and this is an easy one because I'm cutting him, you're cutting him, Mike Borgonzi's cutting him, Robert Saleh's cutting him. It's L'Jarius Sneed. And this it needs to happen. And I'm kind of shocked it hasn't happened already. And I'm kind of shocked that it didn't happen even during the season. Since L'Jarius Sneed has signed with the Tennessee Titans, it has been an absolute disaster. And there's more ways than one on why L'Jarius Sneed has just been a failure in Tennessee. We could talk about the on-the-field production. We can talk about the off-the-field production. It has not been good. He's dealing with legal allegations. That's one of the things. But if we want to take a look of on-the-field talent, nothing is there. When you look at his Tennessee Titans career, no, this is not 2025. This is not specifically 2024. This is a combination of both 2025 and 2024. 26 tackles, 3 pass breakups, no interceptions, and a PFF grade of 43.35. Bad. Extremely bad. And he's been injured. But that doesn't excuse when you're on the field, when you're healthy, he's been a dud. And making $19 million a year, Sneed has just played 12 games for the Titans in 2 years. It's been bad, and I think the Titans just need to kind of cut their losses and get rid of them. And when you look at the cut savings pre-June 1, it's $11.44 million. So you're saving some type of money with L'Jarius Sneed. But if you want to wait till post-June 1, you get $4 million extra at that $15.5 million. And I think him and I think the Tennessee Titans want to get that fresh start. It is time. It's time. It was an experiment for 2 years, and it's just not working. We saw him come back onto the field during probably training camp, and it was, is he going to play? I don't know. We don't know. No one knows. And then he did. He wasn't productive, and then he got hurt again. It's just time to kind of go the separate ways. But when you look at the cornerback depth chart, this is the worst part of the roster. Worst part of the roster. Because you have Sneed, but then you got rid of everybody. You got rid of Roger McCreary. You got rid of half your cornerback room. You're left with Darrell Baker Jr., Jalen Armour-Davis, Samuel Womack, and Marcus Harris. You have to increase that during the draft or during free agency. But there's some other guys that are free agents that I want to keep, like Kevin Zeitler. I would like him to stay on this team on another one-year deal, sign him for a one-year deal, have him be a vet on the offensive line. Arden Key is a free agent. I don't know how much money he's going to get, but if he's willing to take a pay cut for $6 or $7 million, same with Sebastian Joseph Day, I'm okay with re-signing them to low-end kind of 1 to 2 year deals. But if you're asking for anybody else, and there's like 20 players that are going to be free agents for the Titans this season or going into the offseason, with over $100 million in cap space. You have over $100 million. If you use these cut candidates that include Tony Pollard, that include Calvin Ridley, you are going to get $120 million. That is way too much cap space for you to go out and re-sign players. You need to revamp this entire roster and let half the team walk and bring in a whole new team. Because if you have some of the same players that you had last year, you're going to end up 3-14. And you're not going to have one of those worst to first seasons that we've seen the last couple years with the Texans, the Commanders, and then the New England Patriots. You don't want that to happen. So no matter what, use all that cap space. Use this to your advantage and get some players to improve this roster and build around Cam Ward and Jeffrey Simmons. But grade my cut candidates. What do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments. A, B, C, D, or F. I mean, if I had to, I'd probably give it a B. I think those guys are definitely going to be cut, so you let me know. And while you're down there, go ahead and hit that sub button. We got coverage from the NFL Combine next week. You're not going to want to miss out. And also, just throughout the entire offseason, we're going to hear from Mike Borgonzi, hear from Robert Saleh, and also see what free agency and the draft has. So go ahead and hit that sub button, and as always, tighten up.